Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. Have a question for the show or need assistance with your retirement plan? Give Philip a call today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here alongside Philip Statler. He is president and founder of Statler Financial Services right here in Sebring. And Philip, we've got a great show lined up today, going to be talking a little bit about bad financial habits. Any time is a good time to break a bad habit, whether you want to make improvements in your routine at home, your job performance at work, with your physical health or your financial health. The time to make a positive change for your future is right now. And you are in the right place as we get into this here today. Philip, 3 out of 4 Americans don't have a written financial plan. That means most of us are winging it when it comes to spending. So when we talk about bad financial habits, how could we break the bad habit of living without a budget?
You know, Jen, that's probably one of the hardest ones out there. And today it's become easier, right? Because there's all kinds of apps that people can track their expenses. To me, that's the hardest part, right? I mean, we know where the income's coming from, but tracking our expenses, what are we spending money for and what are we spending it on? Because that really helps us to kind of figure out what retirement's going to look like for us in terms of how much money do we need to spend or will we have to spend in retirement? Too often people, I think, do it backwards, right? They say, here's my pot of money and I'm going to spend it till it's gone. The problem is that it can be gone and they still have fixed costs that they have to cover. And so that's why the budget is so important. So tracking your expenses and what you're spending money on will give you so much understanding of what your budget needs to look like and how much money you're really and truly going to need in retirement to have the retirement you always dreamed of.
Right. And when we talk about some of these bad habits, Philip, complacency, I think that's another bad habit for a lot of us. We don't make regular adjustments to our portfolio. We don't pay attention to the fees we're paying. Keep our money with some financial institutions just because we don't like to take the time to explore other options. It's just easier to put things away and just leave them. How does working with someone like you help us keep from becoming too complacent when it comes to our retirement money?
Well, I think complacency is easy, right? Because, hey, if it's in the back of my mind, I'm not worried about it. But it also means that it's in the back of your mind. You're not worried about it. Things could go wrong and you're not paying attention until it's too late. And so that's where I think complacency is a deal. You need to be on top of your retirement finances. And that's why we meet with our clients, at least once, if not twice to 3 times a year to make sure that they're on track. They're doing what they need to do and that their income is sufficient to get them where they need to be. Nobody likes to make changes, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the show today, is that change is hard, and nobody likes to make changes because of that. So, it does mean that we have to make some changes, though, because otherwise being complacent is going to take over. And that's just a dangerous place to be. If too many things can go wrong, and we don't want to see that happen to folks in retirement.
Right. As I mentioned, a lot of times we don't pay attention to things like the fees that we're paying. Talk a little bit about how much the impact things like that can have on our retirement. When we talk about things we aren't always paying attention to, sometimes it's fees because they seem minimal, but how much of an impact could that have on us over time?
Well, you're right, Jen, because they can seem minimal, but the other thing they can see is they can be hidden. Right? We don't know where they are. And so they can be very impactful from that standpoint. So let's just look at a few numbers here, right? So if we look at some historical data that Vanguard kind of put together, we know that from 1926 until 2019, that if you had a blend of 80% stocks and 20% bonds in your portfolio, that you would have earned about 9.7% a year on average over that time span. So that's pretty good. If you're putting $1,000 a month away over 40 years, now granted, in 1926, that would have been a lot of money, right? But still, it would have grown to $5.8 million.
Wow.
But if you think about fees for a minute and the impact they could have, if you were paying just 1%, that means your 9.7 would now be 8.7% on average over that same 40-year period of time. You would have only had a portfolio of 4.3 million. Now, it's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But what I want you to focus on is the difference. The difference between those two numbers, that's $1.5 million. That's 25% of your wealth to fees. That tiny 1%. And so that's why I think it's important that people know what the fees are they're paying. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be some fees. We can't get away without some fees. The issue is, where are those fees and what are you getting for those fees? Are you getting somebody there that can answer your phone calls, that will give you the right advice, that will be I call it the 411 and 911, right? Are they going to be there for that conversation on tax issues? Are they going to be there for that conversation on buying versus leasing a vehicle? These are all things that coaching in retirement play a part to. So the question I have for folks out there today is, do you have a financial broker, a financial advisor, or do you have a true financial and retirement coach? Somebody that's there for you to answer your questions and to help make sure that the decisions you make are in your best interest, not theirs. And that's what we really do here at Statler Financial. We're here to be your retirement coach, to help you get into retirement and to make sure that you have the retirement you always dreamed of. If you're not working with that type of person, or you're not working with anybody and you need to find that right fit for you, let us help coach you into and through retirement. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Let us coach you in retirement.
That number one more time, 863-285-3815. Philip, when we're talking a little bit about some of these bad financial habits, leaving tax breaks on the table is another bad habit to break. Talk a little bit about how having a tax-efficient retirement strategy can help keep you on track so you have more money for your own use in retirement. The same concept as watching those fees, less fees means more money for you. Less taxes means more money for you as well, right?
You're absolutely right, Jen. And people don't think about taxes when they think about retirement. And that can be a problem, right? Because taxes do play an important role on both, I'm going to say both sides of the fence, right? So there are times when I sit down with folks that they're paying too much in taxes. They're not making the right decisions with their investments for their current path to retirement. I have other folks that I sit down with that are opposite end of the spectrum. They're not doing enough right now to pay taxes, that we want to take more out of their IRAs or more out of their retirement accounts and move them to Roths or move them to non-qualifieds, so that they're paying some tax now at these extremely low rates. But the problem is that this industry, if you call the local brokerage firm, they're going to say, well, we can't help you with that. If you call one of the major wirehouses or one of the major firms out there, they'll say, if you ask them a tax question, they say, we can't help you with that. Do I do a Roth conversion or not? We don't know. We can't answer that question. And that's where coaching comes into play. And helping people through that process and make sure they're making the right choices when it comes to taxes and how they've got their accounts allocated, Jen.
So, Philip, one last area of bad financial habits: procrastination. This can get the best of us. It's a habit we should all try to break. What's your message to people who've been procrastinating when it comes to creating a plan for their retirement?
Well, let's talk about that next segment, okay?
You just want to wait? Just put it off until later.
Well, just wait a little while, Hey, procrastination, it can be your biggest enemy, right? Because we're trucking along, doing our thing, thinking about retirement, but putting off those big questions like, do I have enough money to retire? Do I have the right allocation for my retirement? Am I doing things right? Do I have a plan in place to help me get through retirement? And that's the problem. Nobody wants to take the time to put together that retirement income plan. And I think that's most people's missing piece, because a lot of people, you said earlier, 25% of the folks out there do have a financial plan. The problem is a lot of times a financial plan doesn't go to that nth degree to put together that retirement income plan. The details needed to make that work. And that's really what I think folks need to understand today, is that we need to have that retirement income plan. Don't procrastinate. Put your fears behind you. Take a step forward and embrace the fact that we need to have a plan in place. We need that roadmap to know where we're going to be taking money from, when we're going to take it, and how long that's going to last, to make sure that what we have is enough and it's going to last us as long as we're here on this earth. Because nobody wants to run out of money before they run out of life. Folks, listen, if you're one of those folks out there, which most likely 90% of you are, you don't have a retirement income plan in place, a physical written document for your income plan, give us a call and let's walk you through that process. 863-285-3815. Folks, that's the number you need to call. Again, 863-285-3815. That's the number you need to call to schedule your financial x-ray. That easy. Again, that number is 863-285-3815. Folks, don't procrastinate. Pick up the phone, call right now, and get on the calendar, and let's start the process.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
This is your captain speaking. We're expecting fair skies, a smooth flight, and about a 85% chance or so of making it to our destination. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the flight.
Would you stay on that plane? Of course not. Well, do you have a retirement plan where you probably won't run out of money? You need a plan that, no matter the destination, will help you get to and through retirement successfully. Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services can design a plan to help you get to your destination as comfortably as possible, even if Wall Street or the economy causes some turbulence. Call Philip Statler and the Statler Financial Services team to start working on your plan. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Get a plan designed to allow you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard for. 863-285-3815. Firm offers insurance services, advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
If you have a retirement plan and would like a second opinion, call Statler Financial Services today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. Jen Rezac here alongside Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, and he knows as well as I do that for years, annuities have gotten a bum rap, right? They're too expensive, too many strings attached. Your money's locked up forever. We've heard all the cons of annuities for years, but with private company pensions dying out, the tide is starting to turn with younger baby boomers and even Gen Xers now showing more interest in annuities as part of a retirement strategy. I mean, did you ever think we'd say that, Philip? Gen X wants to know about annuities.
I wouldn't. But I find that interesting because I did have a younger client come in that she inherited some money. And she said, look, I want to make sure we put some of this into an annuity.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I just
So you're
really
seeing it. Yeah. You're seeing it. Well, and I've got some numbers here too. So the Alliance for Lifetime Income conducted a survey, and what they found, 9 out of 10 investors said protection is important for their retirement income. So not a big surprise. That seems like a big deal for everybody. But 71% of younger investors were interested in annuities as part of their overall retirement income plan, and you're saying you're seeing this as well. So when you talk to this client, what was some of the rationale, or what do you think is behind this increased interest in annuities, especially among some of the younger people getting ready for retirement?
Well, I think the study kind of showed, and we talked about, you mentioned it at the opening, is that private company pensions are dying out, right? So it's one of those things that we've talked about a lot on the show, is that the three-legged stool is going to a two-legged stool. And I think what this shows is that the Gen Xers are even seeing that and realizing, hey, I've got to look out for me. I've got to create my own income stream when I get ready to retire. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think that what's really probably pushed it a little bit more now is even with the pandemic. I think that, and the study said that the pandemic had a lot to do with it. I think people had time to think, right? Things were different. Things were chaotic. And so I think that it caused people to kind of have a mental reset for where they are, what they focus on, what benefits are actually being offered by their employer. And so I think that really took control and has really opened folks' eyes to some of the benefits that annuities have. I mean, we hear in the news all the negative and the cons, but it's those benefits of being able to provide lifetime income that really is starting to be attraction.
And when we talk about the benefits, protected income, that is certainly a benefit. Talk about the difference between that protected income, something like a pension or an annuity, and then that quote unquote maybe money, that non-guaranteed income when it comes to what you're counting on in retirement.
So let's look at it this way. So if you have a pension, right, that money's coming in. Some people call it mailbox money. Hey, it's going to hit your bank account every month right on time. Well, annuities, a lot of them have that same benefit, right? You have some kind of income provision within that annuity. You can turn it on to provide lifetime income, which is then protected income. That's going to be there month in and month out as long as you're around. Versus what they call maybe money, right? That's money that's in the stock market. That's money that we don't know. It's going to be up and down. Probably one of the biggest things I ever saw that really opened my eyes was back in 2009. I was meeting with a potential client who on January 1st of 2008, his IRA had $1.5 million in it. And when I met with him, his account was down more than 50%.
Wow.
He was taking, when he started, 5% out of that account. He never made any adjustments. So by the time I saw him, he was literally taking 10% out of the account.
Wow.
And so the maybe money makes you have to realize that you need to be able to make adjustments, right? If that's going to be your money, and the stock market's down 50%, you need to take 50% less money out of there, if not more.
Wow.
Less than that, right? So that's the difference. Protected income, hey, it's there, it's going to be there, no matter what. Maybe money, it may or may not be there. You may have to make adjustments with that money. And that's the biggest difference.
So some clear challenges there for people who are potentially relying on that maybe money instead of something protected, like an annuity or pension or something like that.
Absolutely. If you have maybe money and that's what you're relying on as your monthly stream of income, and there's a lot of folks out there that's what they have. That's, either one, they don't believe in annuities, or two, they're not working with a financial advisor who knows how to do distribution planning properly for safety versus risk. And they don't have that. So they're taking money out of their risk bucket, their maybe money bucket. And the problem is if they don't make adjustments when the market declines, then they may run out of money faster than what they had planned on. Folks, listen, that's why I believe it's so important that you have a written retirement income plan. If you don't have a written retirement income plan, then you're just taking money kind of out of your junk drawer. You're taking out this product or this account or that account without a plan in place. It's the retirement income plan, a written plan that gives you certainty around your money and that income distribution coming out. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. Sit down with us and let us help you put together that written retirement income plan. That number again is 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. I am Jen Rezac alongside. And when you talk about having that retirement income plan, does simply owning an annuity, does that count? Is that what you mean when you talk about having an income plan? Because that sounds like the plan for where your income's coming from.
And it may be where some of your income's coming from, but that's not the plan.
Okay.
That would be like, open up a junk drawer and say, I need tape, so I'm going to take this roll of tape. Well, no, you need to have a plan, a written retirement plan so that you know where your money's going to come from and where it's going to come from. So that's really, we use at Statler Financial, we use a bucket approach. So we've got buckets of money. We know when you're going to start bucket one, how long that's going to last, when we're going to go to bucket two, how long that's going to last, how long the third bucket's going to last the rest of your lifetime. So we've got different buckets of money. That's a plan. And knowing exactly when you're going to turn that bucket on and when you're going to have to switch to the next bucket, that's a plan. That's not just picking money out of one place or another. And that's important that people have that written down, that written retirement plan down.
How do we find the right balance between protection, having that protected income, but then also still getting a little bit of growth in some areas of our money? Because it seems like when you look at how long people are living and things like inflation, costs keep going up, growth still seems important. How do you find the right balance?
That's a good question, Jen. So everybody's different. But we start out that process here, we use the rule of 100. Now, that may or may not be where we end up, but it's definitely where we're going to start. So we're going to say, hey, we're going to take your age. If you're 65 years old, subtract that from 100, 35 is what's left. So 35% is about what we would want invested in the risk bucket of money. And so that means we got 65% plus or minus 10% protected and safe. And that just is kind of a rule of thumb. It's not in stone. We make changes all the time. But we take that along with walking through a smart risk tolerance process to determine how much risk you can really handle on the ups and downs of the marketplace is kind of how we determine what that balance needs to look like.
If we are thinking about an annuity or putting our money in any type of retirement planning vehicle, no matter what we're thinking of investing in or rolling it into or putting it, how do we get a second opinion?
Yeah, they can give us a call. We'd be happy to sit down with them and say, look, that's a good vehicle. There's some better vehicles out there. Here's what I see being really in this industry is that there's some sweet spots right now when it comes to annuities. Everybody, it used to be, the 10-year annuity had the best rates, the best deals. I'm not really finding that now, Jen. The 7-year annuities actually right now have a better opportunities for earnings. And so I tell people, look, I'd be happy to sit down with you, look at what you're looking at, and give you the pros and cons of that, and let you know if that really is a good place to park some money for income. Again, that's easy. I'd love to do it, give you a second opinion on that. All you have to do is give us a call at 863-285-3815 to get started with that. But that annuity part, Jen, is only part of the whole plan. Mm-hmm. I sit down with people all the time that they have too much risk in their portfolio. I mean, that's not uncommon. But the other thing that I see, not as often, but I see people who don't have enough risk in their portfolio. They've got everything in CDs or annuities. And that's just as bad as having too much risk. So it's a balancing act. We need to have both things within our portfolio to make sure that what we have is going to last throughout your lifetime. Now, the other part of that is the risk bucket can't just be set it and forget it, right? It's got to be something that's monitored, controlled, rebalanced on a regular basis, and monitored to the nth degree. That's what makes the risk bucket work the way it needs to work. And so that's why we developed our whole core retirement design process, is to build that core for folks, to balance between risk and safety. That's the whole emphasis that's on that process. And give us a call. Look, if you've got $150,000 or more that you've saved for retirement, give us a call at 863-285-3815. Again, that number is 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is with Statler Financial Services. An annuity may or may not be right for you, but one thing is certain. Today's annuities are a world away from the ones your grandparents have. We'll get into that on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
If you have a retirement plan and would like a second opinion, call Statler Financial Services today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you can leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He is the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. An annuity may or may not be right for you, but one thing is certain. What we have today, these annuities are a world away from the ones your grandparents have. I mean, Philip, talk about that. How much has changed with the income tools we have today for the modern retiree?
Yeah, there's a lot of different. I mean, even Jen, I think back the 23, 20, well, somewhere in that ballpark, not quite 20 years that I've been using annuities. Um, it's amazing how much they've changed even
Mhm.
in that time period. So, who knows what we got to look for the next 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the most confusing aspects of annuities is that there are so many different types, and that's something that has really come a long way as well. Could you just go over the different kinds of annuities that are available today? Because I just think there's some confusion there.
Absolutely. So when we look at annuities, there's four main types that are out there, and each kind determines a different monthly payout. So the key thing to remember is that annuities create a stream of income at some point in your life. Now, the first one is an immediate annuity. An immediate annuity, you dump a bunch of money into an insurance company's pocket, and that company will spit out monthly income or annual income or quarterly income, whatever you've agreed to, for a couple things. Either you can set up on a term, like they're going to do it for 10 years, or you can set it up for your lifetime. Either way, you're trading a bunch of money that you give the insurance company for a income stream at some point in time. It's kind of creating your pension, right? You dump it in and you're going to get a stream of income, and you can do joint and survivor life if you want to. So it would tie up two people's lives before it runs out.
Mhm.
And then there's a deferred annuity. So with a deferred annuity, you put money in either all at once, or you can put some in along the way over time. But at some point in the future, a stream of income begins, right? The deferred annuity is just that. It's going to be an income stream at some point down the road. The difference is that you pick a time later in life. And so some of the TSAs, the tax savings annuities that teachers have,
Mhm.
especially some of the older ones, are deferred annuities. That the only way they really get their money out of there is a stream of income. Um, then you go to fixed annuities, and there's a fixed interest rate, right, that's associated with that contract. And so when the index is up, your index is up. So there's two types of fixed annuities. Let's look at that, right? There's the old-fashioned fixed annuity. Hey, I'm going to make 5%, or I'm going to make 2%, whatever it is, for 5 years or 10 years or whatever. Then there's an index annuity where your rate of return is determined by an index. So if that index is up, like the S&P 500, if it's up, you make so much money. Not all of what the S&P, so let's say you make 30% of what the S&P 500 does. So if up 10, you're going to make what, 3.3.
Mhm.
And it resets usually every year. There's multiple indexes available in today's index annuity world, and you can usually reallocate between those indexes on an annual basis if you feel the need. Then the last one is the variable annuity. And the variable annuity are for investors willing to take more risk, because there's no real guarantees in terms of principal unless you buy some type of rider that provides that for you. So the way the contract is valued is it's a variable investment, right? It's mutual funds within inside that annuity wrapper. So it's just like being in the stock market. The account value will fluctuate based on how well the stock markets are doing and how well the investments are doing. This type of annuity can offer higher returns, but with the possibility of your account actually falling in value and being worth less than what you put in.
So, a lot to know there with so many different varieties of annuities, so many different flavors. How do you know which one would make the most sense if one is right for you?
Well, that's a little difficult to say, right? Because it all depends on everybody's circumstances. It
Mhm.
depends on what's important to them. What are they seeking? Are they seeking more risk? Are they seeking less risk? What are their drivers? And that's really the bottom line, Jen, is we've got to come up with what's important to them. What are they trying to accomplish? Because that determines how you allocate between annuity or the stock market. The whole thing is really and truly an individualized process. There's no basics, hey, we can throw this out as in general, everybody can do this. That's not the way it works. The whole income planning process is very individualized. And that's what we strive for our clients to do, is to put each individual client has a different plan. There's no cookie cutter situation that we can just stamp out and say, oh, this will work for you, and this will work for you, and this will work for you. Every one of them, we start from scratch and build it based on the specific needs of that client. So that all goes to the process of you need to have a written retirement income plan. You need to understand what you have in risk. You need our core retirement design to make sure you're on the right path. To schedule your time, just give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. And I know fees are a big concern for a lot of consumers as well. What do we need to know there, Philip, about the fees that could potentially be there with an annuity?
So fees will also depend on the type of plan you choose. Index annuity fees can range from 1% to 2%. Variable annuity fees, the article I read said up to 4%, but I've seen a variable annuity that had over a 5% in fees, because they had so many different riders that were attached to it. Additional death benefits or income benefits can also add to that cost. So companies may take a share of the gains and reduce your return on a sliding scale for some protections on the downside. There are also no fee annuities that only take a share of the gains. So there's different ones out there. I look at it as, what is the issue I'm trying to solve for? And then go and find the best solution for that situation. You don't want to be tied down to any one annuity company. You want somebody that's going to give you options and all the different things that are out there, Jen, because there's no one company that writes all the best annuities, Jen.
If we already have one, are we locked in? Are we stuck with this for good? Or can we potentially make changes if we're interested in shopping around a little bit?
It depends. Okay. You're not locked in forever. Usually, I will say that, because you could be, right. If you have a immediate annuity, well, you're stuck. That's whatever you did. It's done contractually. If you have a deferred annuity that's going to pay income out later, you're stuck. The only way to get the max benefits out of it is to take an income stream. I guess you can cash them in early sometimes, but you take a huge penalty. It's not worth it.
Okay.
It really does depend on the annuity itself. But in general, most of the time an annuity is going to have a 5 to 10 year time period on it, that the contract is locked in and has some penalties attached if you leave early. And after that time, typically you can make changes and find a better annuity, a better mousetrap, that may be out there. So, but each contract's different. You have to really look through the language to make sure you're making the right decision.
Walk us through your process for doing an analysis on an annuity for us.
So we look at, one is how long is the annuity and when do you need to start taking money out of it? That's number one. Number two, do we have a lot of choices with the type of indexes that are available to us? Or are we locked into the famous 3? the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, or the Dow Jones 30. We want more variety is what we look for, because those varieties can provide us with some better returns than just those old standard three. And then from there, we're going to look at something that gives us the best opportunity. And we have different tools that we use that will back test different annuities, that will say, hey, look, based on, the last 20 years, this is what this annuity would have done had you used certain indexes. Not that that's locked in stone, but at least it gives us a guide for going forward. And the bottom line is that you need to walk through a process. It's not buying a car, right? We need to understand that having that annuity is only part of the process, and nobody should have everything invested in just annuities. It doesn't make financial sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. But I see it. I see it on a regular basis. It's walking through that process. It's having that core retirement design so that you understand where your income is going to come from, what the risk is that you have. All these things are important as we try to determine what you need and how you need it to work for you. Listen, folks, if you have at least $150,000 saved for retirement, let us walk you through our core retirement design to make sure that you're on track and that you're covering all the bases as you get ready to retire, or if you've already retired. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
This is your captain speaking. We're expecting fair skies, a smooth flight, and about a 85% chance or so of making it to our destination. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the flight.
Would you stay on that plane? Of course not. Well, do you have a retirement plan where you probably won't run out of money? You need a plan that no matter the destination will help you get to and through retirement successfully. Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services can design a plan to help you get to your destination as comfortably as possible, even if Wall Street or the economy causes some turbulence. Call Philip Statler and the Statler Financial Services team to start working on your plan. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Get a plan designed to allow you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard for. 863-285-3815. Firm offers insurance services, advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, and he gets questions from people all the time as it relates to retirement. We wanted to find out some of those commonly asked retirement questions, so we went out and found out what people want to know about retirement, some of the questions that they have right now. We've got a bunch of different voices that we're going to hear from here on the show today. And Philip, our first question comes from Brent. I'll just let him ask the question.
I'm thinking about taking money out of my IRA to pay off some debt. I know that's not always the greatest idea. I think we can do okay without a penalty because Congress has passed some new laws after the pandemic. But how can we make sure we don't make a bad situation even worse?
That's a good question. And let's just kind of clarify a couple things here, Jen, that Brent, that was the case. And I say was because it's past tense, right? So you could do that until and through December 31st, but it did not carry over. I haven't seen any extensions of that into 2021. It doesn't mean that they couldn't come back and pass the legislation to extend that provision, but it's not there now. So if you had done that, you needed to do that before the end of 2020 to not have to pay that 10% early withdrawal penalty. But even more important than that, Brent, is you need to weigh the pros and cons of that, right? And that's one of the things that we did help some of our clients last year weigh those options. Does it make sense to take money out of this account for whatever they needed to do? Because by taking money out of your IRA or your 401k, now you're taking away from your retirement. And sometimes it's better to maybe suffer now and be able to have the retirement you want down the road. And like I said, it's one of those things that we weigh out. And it's one of the reasons that we're so connected with other groups to stay educated. And that's one of the things I remember, like, I think it was like December 20th, sometime around in there, I got an email from Ed Slott saying, hey, deadline's approaching. If you have clients that want to take money out of 401k, they need to do it now. And so that keeps us up and abreast on what's happening, because we get those updates whenever something critical is coming down the line.
Yeah, just another one of those things that shows you how much these things keep changing and how tough it is for the everyday person to stay on top of all this stuff. I mean, the everyday person, Philip, who's out there working or even in retirement, we're not getting those emails from Ed Slott reminding us of those things going on. That's why it helps to work with somebody like you who's able to stay up to date on all that stuff.
Absolutely. Those are the things. And we try to send out, emails addressing those things when they change, or a video email explaining what those changes are. We try to keep our clients informed on what's happening.
Let's go to another one. We have a question here from Gary. This is our Man on the Street segment. We went out to find out some of the questions that people have about retirement. Here is what Gary wants to know.
I've been working for the same company now for about 40 years, and I'm hoping to retire in the next year or two. My original plan was to wait until I retire, take my 401k and do something with it then. But I'm wondering, should I be doing something with it now?
That's a great question. And I'm going to say it depends, right? There's no yes or no answer until you dig a little deeper. And here's what needs to be kind of dug into is, within your current 401k, what are your options? What options do you have? And will those options meet your current needs getting ready to retire in a couple years? My experience has been that normally that's not the case. And that there's other tools that may help you more or better as you get that close to retirement. The other thing that you have to find out is, can you actually take the money out before you retire? Not all 401ks allow you to take money out prior to retirement. There's age restrictions, and a lot of them, you have to actually be retired before you take money out. But some of them do allow it. Some of them will allow it at 55. Some of them will allow it at 60. So that's the first thing is two things you have to look at. One is, what are your options and will they meet your needs? And two, are you allowed to, based on the document 401k?
One of the points there, Philip, as well, is this isn't a thing where you set it and forget it. Somebody comes up with a plan for you and says, okay, good luck. See you in 30 years. I mean, that's just not a prudent way to approach this either, right?
Definitely not, Jen. I mean, that's one of the things that, I look at my job, my position is to be my client's retirement coach. And here, that even goes a little further than just financial advisor, right? So a lot of guys that will take care of your money, that's what they do. They take care of your money, but that's it. They don't take care of you, the person. They're not there as your coach to bounce ideas off of or to run scenarios through. That's what we're here for. I tell my clients, look, I want to be your 411. If you need to know something, let me know. I'll figure it out for you. Or two, I want to be your 911. You have an emergency pop up. It may not be a money emergency. It may be, hey, I need to get from here to New York. How am I going to do that with all the stuff going on right now? There's just, we want to be a resource for our clients, not just the guy that takes care of the money. There's a lot of people that can do that. But there's not a lot of guys that will take care of the individual. And that's what we feel like, we're good at, is taking care of the money and the person. We want to be your coach to make you a better person and that you have a better retirement going forward.
Yeah, great point there. Let's do one more. We have time for one more question here at our Man on the Street segment, going out, finding out some of those commonly asked retirement questions. Last one today comes from Harry, and I'll just let him ask the question.
I'm 67 years old. I just retired and I'm feeling good. I've got money in my 401k, money in some other investment accounts. I think I'm covered, but what should I be thinking about?
Harry, that's a good question. As I listen to your question, one of the things that hit me right in the forehead was, I think I'm covered. Now here's the thing. I would rather you say, I'm certain I have my income taken care of, but I didn't hear that. And so that's what I think that needs to happen, is that there's a lot of things that can cause uncertainty. And just because you got a 401k and you have some other investment accounts, how are you going to take money out? What's the process going to be? What's it going to look like? Unfortunately, most people retire without an income plan. They have something in their head, or their brokers told them, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, but they don't have a written retirement income plan. And that is what we do here at Statler Financial. We want to make sure that as we put together that income plan, that every year where your money is going to come from, and if you need a little extra, where it's going to come from. Not that, hey, we've got all these products out here, we have all these accounts out there, we're going to get you your money, and you have no idea where it's coming from. That's not good planning. That's not the way you want to retire. You want to have a true retirement income plan. I would encourage you to take some time and get one put together. It's I would say it's simple. It's simple on my client's part. They just give me the information and we put it together. And then we hash it out to make sure it's going to really and truly meet their need. So listen, if you don't have an income plan, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you tell me, hey, I've got a financial plan. It's about 2 inches thick over here. That's not a retirement income plan. So what got you to retirement won't get you through retirement. You need to have a retirement income plan. Give us a call. Let us help you set one up, walk through, and keep coaching you through it throughout your retirement years. To do that, it's simple, folks. Just give us a call at 863-285-3815. It's 863-285-3815. Give us a call now. Get on our schedule. Let's sit down and let's get you on track for the retirement you always dreamed of. That number one more time, 863-285-3815.
You've been listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show. Make sure you remember that number we've shared throughout the show today, 863-285-3815. And be sure to tune in again next time for more insights from Philip. I'm Jen Rizak. Thanks for spending some time with us here today. We hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Information provided during the Statler Financial Radio Show is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No strategy is guaranteed to be successful.
This radio show is a paid placement.